Good evening, Hawks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Atlanta Sports District. I'm your host, Russell Spence, coming to you directly after our game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. On the 2nd of November, we end up losing tonight 117 to 109. Honestly, it was not as bad of a outcome as I would have maybe thought would happen when not having our best player and them being the team that easily solidified themselves as the number one seed in the Eastern Conference last year. We had a lot of good fight, and so let's go ahead and talk about what all transpired today. Hawks started out really slow in the first quarter, got down 7 points early, and it got worse and worse and worse. We just kept getting turnovers, and our deficit was in the teens really early. Donovan Mitchell was hitting everything he threw up there. He hit 3 straight, just absolute crazy threes. The Hawks started doing a better job in the first quarter of taking care of the ball. When we did, we were attacking the paint a lot more, and we cut the deficit from 18. We were in around like 15, 16 range. We got it to 18 to 10, and forced the Cavaliers to take a timeout. After the timeout, we came out with an absolutely ginormous lineup that I like a lot. And I at least want to see what it looks like in a longer span of time. The lineup had Zach at the 2, Naw at the 1, Jalen at the 3, Mo at the 4, and Onyeka at the 5. That lineup is ginormous. I like it a lot. You got like a 6'10", 6'11 player at the 2. And with us not having Trae Young, I like leaning into a defensive lineup like that much more than I like leaning into an offensive lineup, which we'll get to because I think that's what really cost us the game at the end. There was a very funny play where Mo Gay just every night does something defensively I've never seen anyone do. Today he made Evan Mobley airball a layup, which was really comical. And it was such a bad air ball that the other team didn't realize what happened, and they didn't know it didn't hit the rim. And they got a shot clock violation when the ball came back in bounds because they had no idea that the ball hadn't hit the rim. The Hawks defense during that second half of the first quarter was absolutely crazy. We had another small run, got it to 21 to 16. We had Veet come in because Keaton was under the weather, not playing tonight. We missed a few free throws. And we struggled to get some offense running, but our defense was so good that we went into the quarter, instead of being down 15 or 16, like I said, we were down only 9, 31 to 22. In the second quarter, the half-court defense was awesome, and we kept forcing them into half-court situations. We're getting back in transition. We cut the lead to 2. They call timeout, and then immediately they come and go on a 7-point run in their first 3 possessions, and Hawks call timeout right after their run. We had a really extended period of time in the second quarter where we did not have Jalen in the game. I don't like that. I always talk about with stars, if you have a star on your team, they cannot be off the floor for more than 5 minutes consecutively, because the team needs that player on the floor to be successful. If, let's say, you have a player that finishes the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, they come off and they're off the court for 2 minutes. And then for the start of the second quarter, they're off the court for the first 3 minutes. That would mean in the first half, you would have them having a huge sum, 19 minutes, 38 minutes in the game. That's what you're hoping from your stars, about 35 to 38 minutes. So you might be able to get them a 1 to 2 minute spell here and there. You're getting a 37, 36, 38 minute outing then, and you never have a long period of time where your player's off the floor. Your guys be in really great shape, but you have to require that of your star. So right now, Jalen's the best player on the team. He's been playing amazing. He cannot be off the floor for, it was like almost 8 straight minutes. It's a very long absence for your best player to be off the floor. When Jalen came back in, the defense kept the intensity that it had been doing that entire quarter. I just wrote the defense has been so good. It's keeping us in this game. We made another small run and tied the game at 41. Then we had an and 1-3 a few possessions later that put us up for our first lead of the game, 49-48. We ended the quarter at 52-50, Atlanta. We only gave up 19 points in the entire second quarter. The defense was awesome in the second quarter, and we went with big lineups for the majority of the quarter. In the third quarter, I just wrote our half-court defense has been fantastic all night. It just continued to go on through this third quarter. The Cavs went on a small run where we were still doing well defensively. They were just making shots. Like I said last game, sometimes NBA players, they just make shots. NBA players are really good. And so I said, really good defense, but better offense. 63-59 Cavs. Noah started getting some grifting foul calls, and he did that all night. He had so many free throws. We'll go over it in the player-by-player, but he had a ton of free throws in this game just from being like, I'm going to shamelessly grift. If you reach your hand in here and you touch me, I'm going to show the referee, hey, he slapped me. And it worked. I wrote the Cavs are really having trouble stopping fouling. During this time, we got behind because we were just missing a ton of shots. But we were staying in the game because the defense was so good, but we were just missing a ton of good looks. We ended up being down 71-64 during this little run of not being able to shoot. And I know why we went to this lineup, but we went to a lineup that had Veet and Kennard together with Kristaps on the floor. And to me, that lineup has then a bad defender in Kennard, a below-average defender in Veet, and a below-average defender in Kristaps. We cannot score well enough to keep that flow. We chose to play that lineup in the second half rather than playing the really big lineup with Mo, Jalen, Onyeka on the floor. We completely went away from that. We didn't do it at all in the second half. Mo played very little in the second half. And that lineup was the thing that got our defense rolling in the right direction. The Cavaliers started attacking the players they needed to attack and got a lot of really easy open looks because of that. So again, they pull away a little bit, around 10 points. And we put Mo in the game at the end of the half, or at the end of the third quarter. He plays like the last 4 minutes of the third quarter. And in that time, we go from being down about 10 to being down 3, 76-73 Cavs. We get a very, very dumb moving screen called in our favor on Lonzo Ball as the quarter ends. They give us the ball back with about 2 seconds left. Jalen shoots a shot, and if it had not have been just barely left on his fingertips, it went in, we would have been up. But instead, from that run that we made with the last 4 minutes of the quarter, we were down 78-76 going into the fourth quarter. We started the fourth quarter with 2 straight ISO possessions to KP. I mean, straight up, clear out the side of the floor, let KP go to work. Neither of them worked, and they got easy points on the other end and stretched out their lead. And honestly, from that position, we never recovered. I do not like ISO basketball ever. I don't think it's ever the proper way to go if you want to win a lot of games. But even more than that, we've built our team not to be an ISO team. We are a team that averages the most assists of any team in the whole league. We pass the ball like crazy. Every single one of our players can dribble, pass, and shoot. That kind of offensive player to have in your roster is much more effective to have them playing in a motion style offense with little to no ISO. Yet we, in huge crucial moments in the game, are going to ISO. I do not understand that. I would not have called that. I don't know whose idea that was, but whoever it was, I wouldn't be listening to them again if they recommended that. So, again, they pulled it out a little bit. And we went to a lineup once again that had Luke, Veet, and Kristaps on the floor together. And I just wrote, I hate this lineup. It's not good defensively, especially with Trey out. We cannot have bad defensive lineups on the floor, ever. During that time, we were struggling to get stops, and we were unable to score. I said I would rather do one or the other, and it's easier to ensure that you play good defense because sometimes good players miss shots. If you get a great look, you can miss it. But if you can control whether or not you have a great defensive lineup on the floor. When we were down pretty significantly, Dyson started playing for more steals. And I just wrote, he's playing amazing on defense. He got a couple of just pickpocket, free layup, free dunk, things in the fourth quarter that kept us in the game until the very end. We went down about 5, and they called timeout. We are in a situation where we have about 3 minutes left. We're in the game. And we went back to having Luke Kennard on the floor. After we'd established with a lineup that was Naw, Dyson, Zach, Jalen, and KP, we established we were playing good defense, we were getting steals, we were playing in transition, playing fast because of the stops we were getting. We had that momentum going, and we put a bad defender on the floor. Directly after that, there was a missed rotation by Luke Kennard that led to a wide open 3 from Jalen Tyson. He hits it. We go down an insurmountable number at the time. From there, we fought hard. We did everything we could, but there was no coming back. I think the team fought well enough to win. We have to play lineups that can get stops. Like I said yesterday, we have a team right now that's not going to be amazing offensively because our whole offensive structure was built around having the best passer on planet Earth. When I look at this team now, I say we're going to score somewhere between 105 and 115 points every game. So we have to hold every opponent we play below 105 points. It's similar to the way Orlando played last year, where they were like, we can't score like these other guys, so we're going to make sure they can't score like themselves usually. That's what the Hawks have to do in this current, 4-week, 5-week, 6-week stretch while we don't have Trae Young. If you haven't heard yet, we won't know anything else about Trae for another 4 weeks. He'll be reevaluated in 4 weeks, and then we'll know more about the timeline for his return. So, as I said, we fought hard, but we've got to make sure we're constantly playing lineups that can get stops and can play beneficial basketball for what we need. Moving into the player-by-player, Vít Krejci was pretty rough tonight. He was bad on defense. He committed a lot of fouls. He had 3 points in 17 minutes, only 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 fouls. It was rough. And Vít was the only one of our bench players in the negative. He was -4. So I like Vít a lot, but he's really been struggling early in the year. And I'm hoping that this is not a sign of regression or whatever. I think he's fine, but we just need him to play better on defense. That's the big problem we have right now, is that he's been very bad on defense. Moge only played 8 minutes. That's not okay. Moge has been playing amazing for this basketball team. He needs to play more. I don't understand why our team is refusing to play a player who's making a positive impact every night. Sometimes I wonder what the coaching staff is looking at. When I look at the floor and I go, oh, they have scored 5 possessions in a row. Easily. And we are giving up open looks that they are hitting. Let's look at what's going wrong. What can we do to help? Well, if a player's wide open, that means that there's either a lack of knowledge of where to be, a lack of hustle to get where they're supposed to be, or a lack of ability to get where they're supposed to be. When I look at Kennard, I don't think he's not playing hard. I don't think when I look at Veet that he's not playing hard. I don't think that it's even that they don't know where to be. I'm sure 95% of the time they know where they're supposed to be and they're trying to get there, and they do not have the physical ability to do it. Make sure to play players who have the physical ability to do the job that needs to be done. Kennard played well today, but a lot of those minutes he was on the floor when he was being a turnstile because he's not fast enough to keep up with those players. It would have been awesome to have a 7-foot Senegalian super freak on the floor. I don't get it. I have watched every single minute of Mohamed Gay's career in Atlanta and in College Park. I watch a ton of NBA basketball when the Hawks are not playing. If the Hawks are not playing, I'm watching the national slate game. I've seen pretty much every player in the NBA play on my television live, seeing exactly how they move and exactly how they work. And Mohamed Gay is a special player. He is huge, fast, athletic, and absolutely determined to get stops. He's one of the best defenders on planet Earth. Play him more than 8 minutes. That is unacceptable with the way he's been playing. I don't get it. Our coaching staff needs to reevaluate our rotations and who is playing when. Our lineups that have been huge lineups, where Jalen's playing the 3 next to Mo at the 4, have been very, very successful. I know it's not been in a ton of time, but if you have a lineup that's very, very successful in a short amount of time, maybe try playing it for a longer period of time to see if it would be successful in a longer period of time. Don't just assume that it's not going to be. With the way Mo Gay is playing, he needs a minimum of 20 minutes a night. I don't care how you get him. He's got to play. Moving on, Onyeka Okongwu played 27 minutes. He had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 turnovers, and 4 fouls. Onyeka on that stat line seems like he played poorly. He played very well. He missed a few shots he usually makes, but honestly, they were keying in on Onyeka a lot and allowing other people to beat them. He's playing exactly opposite of Evan Mobley, one of the best defenders in the world. I thought Onyeka held his own very well. I think he played very well. Luke Kennard had 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers. Luke finally shot the ball more and played well because of it. He had a few times where I was like, I don't think he's going to... Oh, he shot it, and he made it because he's one of the best shooters in the history of the game. He also has been doing more over the past 2 games, more of the movement stuff, like a Steph Curry type off-ball movement. I like that a lot, and I would love to see what that looks like with Trae Young having the ball in his hand. When he comes back, that doesn't mean Luke has to stand in the corner. Luke can move. He's, a very good movement shooter. Let him move off ball. Let him do what he does, and let Trae do what he does, and they will find each other. But the defense is a problem. Luke shot the ball enough to mitigate the issues right now in today's game, but in general, it's really rough on defense, and we need to start building our lineups to cover for him the way we're building our lineups to cover for Trae when Trae plays. Moving on to the starters, we'll start with Zach. He played 24 minutes. That's still not enough. I don't know what it's going to take to get him to play more. He needs to play more. He had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers. and was -8 in the game. The starters are the ones who had all our minuses. But I think that was more that they were playing in lineups that were not very conducive to getting stops sometimes. And it was compounding the problem, especially against Donovan Mitchell. We were giving up a lot of wide open looks to one of the best shooters on planet Earth. But overall, I thought Zach played very well. I would like to see him be more aggressive. There are times where he just doesn't look to score ever. And I know that that is kind of what you want from your 3-and-D player. But in this situation, we have no Trae Young. You're one of our more skilled offensive players. You have to try to score. We don't have the luxury of you standing in the corner and you're going to get 5 to 6 beautiful wide open passes from Trae a game. You have to try to score now. Next, we'll talk about Kristaps. Played 28 minutes, had 15 points, 12 rebounds. He was really fighting on the boards today. I was really happy to see that. 5 assists, 1 block, and only 2 turnovers. He was really good tonight. And the only thing I didn't like was the weird ISO possessions. And that's just because they were called. Just don't call him, and he doesn't do it. He never does it unless it's like a set play that's called. So stop calling that. I do not like those looks, but everything else he did I was a big fan of tonight. I thought he played very well. Next we'll move to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, and 5 turnovers. Had a lot of turnovers tonight. Also, he was 0-4 from 3. And 3 of 11 from the field. Like I said, he had a lot of foul drifting and got a lot of free throws. He was 10 of 11 from the free throw line. I like the free throws. If you're shooting 3 of 11 from the field, you're taking some shots maybe you shouldn't be taking. If you're shooting 27% from the field, look at the quality of look you're taking. I know you want to look to score. I like the looking to score. But once you realize I'm pretty heavily covered, slow down, play passive. Play aggressive to passive. The best players can play aggressive to passive. We need that from Nall in order to get through this stretch of time where we don't have Trae. It's going to be crucial. Moving on to Dyson Daniels. 36 minutes, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, a block, only 2 turnovers, and he was just straight up amazing on defense. He is a miracle worker on that end of the floor. He had so many deflections, so many steals, so many blocks. We got our old Dyson back. I don't know what was happening at the beginning of the year when I was talking about his offense. You got to get in the gym, dude. What's going on? It looks like he's gotten in the gym. The finishing around the rim is much better than it was. His free throw is still very broken. And it's something I've been wanting to talk about, and I think I will talk about eventually a little more in depth. But when you want to improve as a shooter, you can't just shoot shots. It's the only problem I have with Dyson right now. Now that the finishing around the rim is going a lot better over the past 2 games, I think that is more like what we're going to get for the 82. But his shot is badly broken. And I liken it to math. Let's say you have a math quiz coming up or a big math exam, and you're doing the formula and you're practicing, and you've got thousands of practice equations to go through, and you're doing it wrong. Something about solving this equation you're doing wrong, but you go through and you practice it 1,000 times. You're still gonna fail that test because you're doing it wrong. So when someone is trying to improve their shot, just saying, well, just get in the gym and take a bunch. Just shoot until you're good at it. That doesn't work. That's like trying to take a math test when you practiced 1,000 equations the wrong way. So, in order for Dyson's shot to improve, the components of the shot must improve. He must go through the process and the equation properly. The shooters who are the best shooters on planet Earth have mastered the equation, not taken 1,000,000 shots. Now, once you master the equation, then take a million shots, and the ball will go in a huge amount of the time. But right now, Dyson's ball does not rotate in the air, and it is extraordinarily flat. Those are two major components that he must improve, or else the shot will not go in with consistency. I do not care how many times he shoots the ball. I don't care how much he practices. I don't care how much of a gym rat he is. He has got to put more loft on the basketball, or it will never go in at the rate we need it to. Please, somebody, get him to put more loft on that shot. And he will make more free throws, because the elbow and the actual release, it all looks nice. It's very natural. But he does not flick enough to get a nice rotation, and it does not have any loft. A shot with loft, you can go look up the physics of it, but you are severely less likely to make a flat shot than a shot with proper arc. We have to fix that. Moving on to Jalen Johnson. Jalen, again, played fantastic. I'm getting a little bit where I feel like I might not need to say that every night, because he's really good. And I feel like we all know that. But Jalen played 35 minutes. He had 23 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 0 blocks, and 4 turnovers. I know 4 turnovers seems like a lot, but he had the ball a ton today. And I just think that, he's turning into a superstar in front of our eyes. I think that we have a real stud on our hands here. And I'm hoping that Trey is able to return in time. But if we're able to continue to add to the continuity of this basketball team, we continue to play better, I think you could see 2 Atlanta Hawks be on All-NBA teams. Because I think a person that's voting will say, well, Jalen has been an All-NBA level player, and it's also obvious he's not the best player on his team. So, the other guy's got to be an All-NBA player too. I think we could literally have that kind of cachet if Trey can get back healthy and be eligible for awards. The last thing I want to do is talk about my takeaways. So, my takeaways from tonight's game are very simple. I think we're going to be okay. Without Trey, I think we're going to be okay. It's going to be hard. We're going to have a lot of hard-fought games. We need everybody else to stay healthy. But what I've seen in these 2 games doesn't make me think it's impossible to stay in a good record boat until Trey gets back. I am concerned that we are not aware of where our bread is buttered, and that we will lose games that we should not lose because we're playing players who cannot get stops more than they need to be played. At this point, with how our team is being forced to play without our best player, and how much of our offense that best player does create, we have to lean into the defense. It's unacceptable to go any other way. So, that being said, I would love to see more of those jumbo lineups. I like them a lot. They're very defensively versatile. On the lineup that we had today that has Zach, Mo, Jalen, Onyeka, that's 4 players who I think can serviceably guard most 1 through 5s. If you wanted to play a hounding, switching style, you could play those 4 plus Na, or those 4 plus Dyson. And you're like, I don't care if you screen, I don't care if you try to attack, I don't care what you do. You're not going to score. Ever. That's the kind of lineup that we need to be playing. If we can have multiple quarters throughout a game where we hold the other team to 19 points, 18 points, like we did during the second quarter when we played that jumbo lineup today, we win a lot of games, no matter who's playing. That's a lineup that needs to be explored. So let's hope that that happens. And as Hawks fans, let's put out there in the ether that we like those lineups a lot. Tweet it. Tell Brad Rowland. Tell anybody you can. We like these lineups. And so, with that being said, we have a pretty rough schedule upcoming. And let's hope the Hawks can keep it in a reasonable win-loss category right now. We just need to tread water until we get Trey back. We got a decent diagnosis on the knee, but we desperately need to weather the storm because he is really important to what we do. That being said, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about our jumbo lineups. Hit me up in the comments. Do you think we should be playing that kind of lineup more? Do you think we should try to lead more to our offense? That's another thing we could do is say, yeah, we don't have Trey, but we could play an offense-heavy lineup and try to make it where we score 115 to 120, and maybe we'll get a win that way. I could see an argument for that. It's not what I would do, but if you have that kind of opinion, you can let me know, and we can talk about it. Any questions you have, or let me know what you think about this jumbo lineup idea. And above all else, I hope you have a great day.